So the Ripple versus the SEC case seems to be heating up, as just the other day there was a live conference with the SEC, Ripple, and Judge Netburn, but also John Deaton, who is of course looking to intervene in this case and become an expert and give expert testimony to Judge Netburn regarding XRP holders. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what Ripple just filed concerning answers that they're looking for to the SEC and why the SEC isn't answering them, because their answers or non-answers are becoming more and more ridiculous by the day. So I'm going to go over what the SEC responded with. I'm also going to talk about what John Deaton said regarding a settlement or a summary judgment in this case, because he said there's a few things, and if you've been watching my channel for any length of time now, regarding these emails surrounding the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass speech, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm going to go over what John Deaton just said. And I'm also going to mention what we're going to be looking forward to tomorrow, which is Friday, and that is the CPI numbers that are about to come out, some of the speculation about what those numbers could mean and how the markets could react. I'll tell you about some analysis that I just read. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. Right now on this channel, we are covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Late Night Grind YouTube channel. Also, if you do three things, I'd really appreciate it. Smash the thumbs up button, watch this video all the way to the end, and check out my Patreon link in the description below. All right, guys, let's jump into it. So first, I wanted to talk about some economic news here in the West, because we are awaiting some big news tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. The CPI numbers, the inflation rate index, basically how much more things are costing year over year. That number comes out once a month. And for the last several months, it's been an astronomical number. Now, looking back at the charts, every time this number has come out, the markets have gone south. Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market have also done the same. But upon reading some analysis about these numbers, it's not just the fact that inflation is extremely high, because people seem to be getting, or investors seem to be getting used to it, and the markets just aren't reacting as wildly as they did, say, several months ago. However, some of the information that I just read said to expect approximately 8.1% on the CPI, meaning things are about 8% more expensive than they were last year at this time. Now, as you all know, if you live in the United States, those numbers are actually a lot higher for many different items, but nonetheless, that's the index that they use. Okay, so what's the speculation about how the markets are going to react? Well, they said because of the last several months of this approximately 8% number that has been coming out month after month, they said if this number is anywhere south of 8%, even if it's 7.9, even though that's an extremely high number, the markets probably aren't going to react as wildly as they used to. There may be some pullback and there may be some volatility to open the day. However, it doesn't look like, some of the speculation is that you just won't see a cratering of index prices, including Bitcoin. However, they said if it looks like it's about an 8 to an 8.3, there probably will be some pullback. As on the mainstream news, the mainstream financial channels, there's always fear, pumping the fear into the markets when talking about a bad number like this, so there'll probably be some pullback. However, they said if it's 8.3, 8.4 or higher, then you will absolutely see a drop in all markets. Now, the last time a big number came out, Bitcoin dropped by like $1,000 in a matter of a half an hour. So take that for what it's worth. It's worth looking into and being prepared for what that CPI number could actually mean tomorrow morning. All right, so now let's jump into the Ripple versus the SEC case, because just the other day it got really, really interesting, as they actually had their in-person conference up in New York with Judge Netburn, with the SEC and Ripple, as well as John Deaton, who was also in attendance. Now, of course, he didn't participate in anything regarding that conference, but nonetheless, he was just there to show his face, because everybody involved in this case now knows who he is. And there's a couple of things that Ripple just filed that make this even more interesting. The fact that they actually did this a couple of hours after the conference shows they probably had this written up ahead of time. Now, this is involving RFAs, which are requests for admission, meaning a group of circumstances or facts that both parties agree to before they actually go to trial. So there's some answers that Ripple's been waiting for from the SEC, and some of them are absolutely ridiculous. So Ripple's motion to the judge, or letter to the judge, actually is talking about the fourth set of RFAs that they're expecting answers from the SEC. But if you listen to this is where it gets crazy. The SEC said it couldn't respond to certain questions in Ripple's RFAs because they couldn't understand what the terms market participant, OIEA request, and FinHub request mean. Now, if you're in the business world, if you're in the economic world, if you're in the legal world, those are terms that everybody understands. But the fact that the SEC couldn't or would refuse to answer questions regarding those statements just gets more and more ridiculous by the day. But here is my favorite part of the letter that Matt Solomon, Ripple's general counsel, actually wrote. He said, RFAs are not a game of Battleship, and whereas the propounding party has to guess the precise language coordinates that the responding party deems answerable. And he's absolutely right. Ripple's attorneys are continuing to provide masterclasses on how to put the SEC on blast while doing it respectfully in letters to the judge. Okay, so what does John Deaton have to say about this? Because as he's seeking to intervene in the case, as he's seeking to be an expert in the case and give his essentially expert testimony to Judge Netburn about the mindset of XRP holders and why they actually buy XRP, and it doesn't just mean people trading, this means banks, institutions, and people all over the world, and why they actually buy them. So the SEC doesn't want this because they've hired their own expert to give testimony to the judge as to why this expert, this paid expert from the SEC, thinks that XRP holders were buying XRP. Of course, they're going to try to make it look like XRP holders are buying a security of Ripple. As we know, that's not the case. But nonetheless, that's what they're trying to do. So John Deaton filed his letter, and of course the SEC opposed that. But their brief has been sealed, meaning they sent a letter to the judge saying, we're going to keep this brief and our opposition, our objection to John Deaton, but we want to keep it sealed. Well, John Deaton hasn't actually seen this, but of course, he recently responded as of a few hours ago, I believe, with his own letter, as well as Ripple. Ripple has also objected to the SEC's objection to being sealed. This should all be public. At least John Deaton and Ripple say that should be public. And of course, if you are an XRP holder, you are following this case, you want that to be public as well, because you want John Deaton to have as much say in this case as possible. Okay, so what did John Deaton actually have to say regarding this conference that went on the other day between Ripple, the SEC, and the judge? First of all, he had a couple of nice things to say about Judge Netburn. He said she was actually incredibly smart, like he thought. And even though it seems like a lot of XRP holders probably think the judges are doing things in an incredibly slow pace, it's because they're doing an incredibly thorough job. But he did say that this case is coming down to one very, very important thing. And I've been talking about on my channel for months, probably longer than 6 months, probably even back in the fall, maybe even summer of last year. When all of this Bill Hinman speech, conspiratorial information started to come out that, you know what, there's a bunch of communications regarding this speech that had nothing to do with Bill Hinman's opinion. Because this case is coming down to one thing. And according to what John Deaton is saying, it's the emails surrounding the Bill Hinman speech, who was actually responding to him, and what they were saying. That is the crux of this case. And so he said, if it comes time where the judge or judges in this case are going to force the SEC to turn over these documents, and I mean actually force them to, meaning the SEC has exhausted all of their options in order to keep them hidden, all of the appeals had been lost, all of the different arguments and delay tactics that they've been using to keep these emails and communications hidden are exhausted, and they are finally forced to turn them over. John Deaton said, then we could probably expect a settlement in this case. He said, if not, if the ruling goes in favor of the SEC and they are allowed to keep them hidden, it's going to go to trial and go to summary judgment. So we do have to hear from the judge concerning what she is actually going to do regarding John Deaton seeking to be the expert, and of course the SEC wanting to object to that. So we're going to have to wait and hear what the judge's decision is on that. And of course, there's a few other decisions that have to be made as well. And in fact, I just saw on Twitter, there was a few other letters just submitted by Ripple to the judge. So I'll be covering those in my next video. Stay tuned for that. So if you want to follow along with that story or any of these others that I cover on this channel, make sure you subscribe to the Late Night Grind. Also follow me on Twitter. I will put a link in the description below. You can follow me on Twitter, as well as several other very, very good resources that also cover details of this case, the XRP ledger, and everything going on in the cryptocurrency world. Feel free to follow them as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video, for smashing that thumbs up button, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.